When I got done reading and listening to those series, I felt stupid. The United States of America is at war on many, many fronts with this is what's coming. You need to know about it so that you don't lose your mind when you see it happen. Because at the end of the day, good morning, America. This is Dream Life Podcast. I am Steve Buck, your host. If you like my stuff, please hit the like button. Please become a subscriber. There's no cost to subscribe. Please share my videos and my content with friends and family. And especially for Rumble, I need to get 50 subscribers ASAP. So if I could get 50 people to sign up on Rumble, that would be great, because then I can live stream to Rumble as well, because very soon, very quickly, I will probably get censorship canceled here. So on today's episode, I wanted to take a step back and start a little bit from the beginning for some of you people who are new, because the types of things that we're discussing here on this podcast is deep and is complicated that you can get just by virtue of the fact that we are in an information war right now. And I wanted to paint kind of a bigger picture for people to understand where we are, why we're here, and where we're headed from here. So we began to talk about devolution and what does it mean to the selection for 2024. And when I say the selection of 2024, is that we do not right now elect our public officials because of widespread cheating. And so for those of you who think that we elect our officials, nothing could be further from the truth. But in the information warfare campaign that we're dealing with, they have convinced most people, which I believed up until probably 4 years ago, that we had real elections, and quote unquote real elections gave us real results. But nothing could be further from the truth. I have awakened since then, and I could figure out a lot of the lies that are coming through the information warfare that the mainstream media and mainstream press tries to shove down our throat and get us to believe. So the first thing that we're going to hit is what we started to talk about on the last episode, is this process called devolution. And I had shared with you that one video with Patrick Gunnels, where Patrick Gunnels read part 1 of the Devolution series by John Harold, who goes by the handle name Patel Patriot. John Harold, Patel Patriot, figured out a long time ago, like 4 years ago, I think about now. It was like 3 or 4 years ago. He figured out that the military and Trump devolved our government into what they call a continuity of government operation. And I want to encourage everybody to listen to the entire series or read the entire series. Patrick Gunnels does a great job of narrating it, but it's very deep, it's very detailed, but the amount of material that's in there for knowledge is just off the charts. When I got done reading and listening to those series, I felt stupid when I sat back and I figured out people like John Harold, and he had some help from other people, pulled together the pieces of a devolved government. And Trump and the military, when we got attacked with the COVID virus back in March of 2020, Trump and the military were obligated to respond. But it wasn't just COVID. COVID wasn't the only issue. We have child sex trafficking, we have arms dealers, we have drug cartels. The United States of America is at war on many, many fronts with those people, those treasonous bastards who seek to destroy our country. I'm going to stop and just talk about specifically people like George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton. These people, they're all New World Order globalists. I readily admit today, I'm ashamed to have supported George W. Bush, because I had no idea that his family were drug lords, that funneled drugs through the Middle East and used Iran-Contra to protect, their drug cartel. Let's get into Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. And I want to talk about the 16-year plan, okay? Because unless you understand the 16-year plan, then you won't necessarily understand why the military in Trump had to devolve our government in a classified secret way in order to take this fight to the battlefield against these people. So the 16-year plan in the Reader's Digest version, basically it was Obama's mission to begin decimating the United States military in his first 8 years in office. After he was done, then he would hand off the ball to Hillary Clinton, and then Hillary Clinton would finish off the military in her 8 years. And they were doing this by getting rid of patriotic, God-fearing military generals and admirals and colonels and sergeants, and basically trying to bring in woke minions who would basically make the United States military completely incompetent, or eradicate the ability of the military to fight against information war. Okay, so now you have to take a look at war, and you have to change your mindset about what war is, war means, and what it can look like. The war that I'm talking about is an information war. In previous podcasts, I had basically taken you and shown you the irregular warfare unit that the United States military has. I showed you in one of the last podcasts that the whole Afghanistan withdrawal, that was just information warfare. That was a decoy, and it was used in this information war. But that withdrawal from Afghanistan, if you look at it, the people climbing on this big balloon plane, and it's really comical. Okay. But if you see it on TV, because of the fact that you're not looking at the details, you might think that was true, which I did the first time I saw it on TV. I'm like, oh, wow, look at all these people. They're dying to get out of Afghanistan. Now, that was just a reverse military psyop that Trump and the military needed to, it was part of the battle. It's part of the war of information warfare. So you had this 8-year plan, okay, that Obama and Hillary, just puppets of the New World Order. These people have no real power in of themselves. They're just useful idiots for the satanic power brokers that have run the world for centuries. So devolution, what devolution means is, the devolution means that we are probably under martial law in a classified fashion, which means you're not going to hear about it from ABC or NBC or Fox News. Okay, the only way that you're going to hear about devolution and the martial law that Trump and the military had to install because of this information war and the attack on our elections, the child sex trafficking, all these different fronts of battle and war that Trump and the military are fighting, their best option was to devolve the government, okay, and to let things play out so that we didn't have a civil war where Trump very easily could have marched in and said, hey, listen, we have all the evidence. Here it is. The military has it. The military shows us all the evidence. Put these treasonous bastards behind bars or hang them or whatever we need to do and move on. But the military knew that would lead to some type or some level of civil war in our country. And so, therefore, they had to take a different tact. In the Q post, and we talked about Q, the Q plan, which the military and Trump are executing. In the Q plan, they talk about the fact that you can't tell people the truth. What you have to do is you have to show them the truth. So the past 4 years almost has been reversed psyops against the deep state, where Trump and the military are showing people what they had intended to do because they couldn't tell the people what they intended to do. So Trump and the military, they devolved the government. I believe that the military is in control and they are running things behind the scenes. Technically, is Trump commander-in-chief of the armed forces? Probably, and I believe that's true. And Joe Biden, or who I say and I think is the fake Joe Biden, I think the Joe Biden that is out there, I think he's wearing a mask, because I know that from a lot of good credible information that Joe Biden, because of his treason, was executed around 2019. So we're going to learn more about that. A lot of these deep state traitors that have been going through classified military tribunals, and the military has dealt with tens of thousands of these people already, but they can't put it in the public purview just yet. But that's what's coming very shortly in the next 6 weeks. That's the devolution component of it. and we're going to study more about devolution. We're going to be going into some depth on the devolution, because you need to know and understand that because we're under devolution, and because of the fact that Space Force in the military, they have all of the evidence of the crimes in the election from 2020. There's Supreme Court cases where the Brunson brothers are suing members of Congress, senators and congresspeople who certified the election in a treasonous fashion. That's going to be coming to the fore very soon. I think I heard something this week about one of the lawsuits is against some of the Supreme Court members themselves, which creates an interesting situation. Is that if one of the cases that the Brunson brothers have before the Supreme Court, and they're suing 1, 2, or 3 of the Supreme Court justices, they automatically get recused because they're the defendant in the lawsuit that the Brunson brothers have at the Supreme Court level. So they can't even vote on their own fate because of the fact that these gentlemen are suing the very Supreme Court members that were complicit in the election theft of 2020. So we have Supreme Court cases, we have devolution, and as I assert, and because of the fact that the 2020 election was stolen, and if Space Force in the military has the evidence to prove that, then the debates and the advertising and everything that we're seeing on TV, it's really just hocus pocus, because none of it matters. There's not going to be an election in 2024 because they have to fix 2020. I submit to you that because of the fact that they stole the 2020 election, the 2024, no election, 2022, 2024, I don't care, from here to eternity, if they're stealing elections, they don't matter because they're selecting, we're not electing. So that's the context that you have to look at everything that you see over the next 6 weeks. You have to put a set of lenses on your eyes and on your intuition and say, okay, wait a minute. Everything that I see and everything I hear, I have to look at everything based upon the filter of devolution, that behind the scenes, Trump and the military are running things behind the scenes so that anything that you see in the public purview, it doesn't even matter. The only thing that matters is that what happens when we get into the events coming up, World War III scenario, the stock market crash scenario, the United States fiat fake dollar bringing in and flooding the United States of America with, just tons and tons of dollars, which will crash our currency. And just as a little side note to the crash in the currency, I just randomly, I was listening to talk radio here locally. I heard this woman, it was on the Brian Kilmeade show. I heard this woman talk about the fact that she was laughing at the fact that Russia was buying physical U.S. dollars, not electronic dollars, but physical dollar bills from Rwanda. And she just kind of laughed it off, and she kind of laughed off the fact that, that our currency could ever, go south. But I laughed because I looked at it through the lens of knowing that I've heard that there's foreign countries that are going to flood our country with our own worthless U.S. dollars, and that's going to crash our currency. So you've got World War III that we're looking for. We've got the stock market crash that we're looking for, and we're looking at our currency crash, okay? That's going to scare the shit out of everybody when that happens, because everything that they idolize, everything that they worship their 401k, they worshiped how much money they had in the stock market, they worshiped how much money they had in the bank. Well, all of that is going to come crashing down, and it's going to be in a heap at their feet. And at that point in time, they're going to have nowhere to turn, seemingly. There'll be somewhere to turn, but we'll talk about that later. But each and every man, woman, and child in the United States of America is suddenly going to come instantaneously to the end of themselves and their false prophets and this fictitious matrix world that they built for us to believe in. It all comes crashing down instantaneously within the next 6 weeks. So what this podcast is trying to do, it's trying to educate everybody who's listening and say, all right, listen, this is what's coming. You need to know about it so that you don't lose your mind when you see it happen. because at the end of the day, we win. It's not to say it's not going to get ugly and bloody. There's going to be some nastiest things that you've ever seen are going to become full view, full public disclosure right in front of your face. So I want to take just to recap the things that are coming and the fact that we are in a devolved government. Those people down in Washington, D.C. right now, ever since Trump devolved the government, anything that they're doing in Washington, D.C. makes absolutely no difference whatsoever for us moving forward. And you're going to see the byproduct of that coming up here very soon. So we'll watch and see. We'll see how it unfolds. These are the important things that you need to know to move forward. And on the next live episode, we're going to get in depth into some of the background information that great Substack writer Joe Lang has put together. So be looking out for that. That brings us to the conclusion of this live. Please like, please subscribe, please share. I also want my audience to know that before the storm and after the 10 days of darkness, we'll talk about the 10 days of darkness. There's probably going to be about a 10-day period where there won't be any internet. They're going to be doing the mass arrests, and I won't be able to be live for that 10-day period. But the period leading up to that, when it starts to get ugly and nasty, I'm planning on being live 16 hours a day. We'll have 10 days that will be shut down, but then when everything gets turned back on, I plan on being live 16 hours a day when things get turned back on. So consider yourself more awake today than when you woke up this morning. And thank you for joining me. I appreciate you viewing my stuff, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon. Thank you. So folks, if you like my channel and you like the golden nuggets that we're delivering, please hit like and also subscribe. And also you can comment anything that you want to say or questions that you have down in the comment section, and we'll reply to that. Thank you.